We're just going to have a review of everything that we've learned in the microbiology unit thus far so that we can prepare you for your quiz/test. So we started the unit off talking about cells, primarily about what do these cells look like and what is their makeup. So we talked about two different types, one being prokaryotic and one being eukaryotic. So the prokaryotic cells, we know that they are singular celled microorganisms. And so primarily meaning that if it's single-celled, they're very simple. There's not much they don't have very many organelles in them. So primarily they have DNA floating freely around in the cytoplasm. Eukaryotic cells, we know, are much more complex. They have many organelles in them. Organelles meaning mini organs. And so they would have a nucleus, they would have a Golgi body, they would have mitochondria, they would have all these different organelles that would have different functions for that cell. And we see eukaryotic cells primarily in animal cells or plant cells. On the other side, prokaryotic cells, we see those being viruses and bacteria. So on that note, let's branch off to prokaryotic cells into viruses and bacteria, which we talked about. Viruses, we compared and contrast them with bacteria. They're similar in that they both are prokaryotic cells. They're both very simple, but they do differ. And the way that they differed is that viruses, we know, are that in between. They're not living and they're not dead. So they need a host to thrive and survive. We talked about three ways that a virus will enter the cell. One, they'll attach to a cell, they'll inject their DNA, and then they'll replicate within that cell, and then that cell will eventually burst, and then the virus will then keep going and finding new cells to attach to and continue the process. Essentially, a virus will turn the cell, whether it's in a human or a plant or a bacteria, into a virus factory, and they make more viruses. Bacteria, on the other hand, they can make their own, or they are able to reproduce on their own, and they require a different treatment than viruses. We know that viruses, typically you can have antiviral drugs, or you just treat the symptoms. Whereas bacteria, we learned that you can treat them with antibiotics. And we also read an article about how antibiotics are becoming resistant, so just knowing when to use antibiotics appropriately. So that is, and throughout the unit we did talk about a lot of infectious diseases. Some of those were Zika virus, yellow fever, Ebola, HIV, just to name a few. You'll probably need to know that for your test/quiz. Perhaps it'll be an extra credit question. So this review will help you with your quiz and test, and please reach out if you have any further questions.